Good morning. Thank you all for coming to the event today. If I could have you all stand for the posting of the colors. Please post the colors.
Please remain standing. Join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. I'd like to invite Mayor Straz up with the city's proclamation.
Before I start, I'd like to thank everyone who came today, especially thank those who served. It's only right that we recognize people who made the sacrifice for the country. And we've done that quite well here in Palos Heights. Earlier this morning, I was over at Independence at 128 School District with Scott, and then this morning, Alderman McGovern was over at Palos South with the other Scott for recognition. Yesterday we had a great breakfast here for all the veterans. Enjoyed it. I happened to be Wednesday afternoon. I was over at the Villa Retirement Center there. They had a veterans recognition honoring the veterans who were at the nursing home, and that was great. After we get done here, we can go over to the library, and again, the veterans will be recognized. And it's only important that we do that. And things have changed how we recognize veterans over the years. I mean, when I'm about most of your guys' ages here, my father was in World War II, and I remember we had a very vibrant VFW. A lot of you guys are into VFW, but that's changing. I mean, my father's VFW in Park Ridge, where he was the commander, they had 2,000 people in that VFW. It was the largest in the United States. I went by there not too long ago. The building's for sale. My mother used to volunteer at Hines Hospital every Monday. Her and about 5 ladies from the auxiliary would go to Hines and be with disabled veterans that were there, passing out, little toiletries. She'd go to Walgreens and get things donated, not unlike Jack does sometimes here, and she'd give them out, or they played cards with all the veterans, That type of thing is not around anymore. The veterans, are starting to shrink as far as, the organizations and the organized organizations that they have. But we still have to make our commitment to veterans, and whether that be we support them physically. There's organizations that you could donate money to support housing, for disabled veterans. You see it on TV all the time. Make a donation for so much a month. Think about that. When you see someone, and it's not as prevalent as it used to be, selling poppies. I mean, that used to be a big thing. But there's still, and it seems like it changes. It used to be one day, the same day every year, every place. Now it's kind of different from suburb to suburb. But put the money in there for the poppies. That's the type of thing you can do. There's also the non-physical situations that we have with veterans. PTSD problems, dependency, whether it be with drugs or alcohol. That needs to be worked on. We have homeless veterans that are out there. So remember those people as you pass someone, as you have someone with a can out there looking for money for a donation for veterans. Keep that in mind. And I know I'm probably speaking to the choir here because most of you guys are vets and you appreciate that. But as this goes out to the masses, if it goes out in our cable TV, that's what you've got to keep in mind, is that we need to support the veterans movements today. So thank you. With that, I'd like to read the proclamation from the City of Palos Heights that Veterans Day, November 11th, 2022, has been designated as a day of honor for the millions of American men and women who have answered the call to duty in defending the hard-won freedoms that we enjoy today. And whereas on this day we recognize and remember the unselfish acts and service of those in all wars and military actions. For many, the sacrifice ended in permanent disability or death. Yet their spirit remains in the continued preservation of our freedoms and the promise of liberty as established as an example for the oppressed people of the world. And we owe a great debt to those who served in the defense of this nation, and we are eternally grateful. We hold every American who has answered the call to arms in our thoughts and make time to remember the sacrifices that they made. Now, therefore, I, Robert Strauss, Mayor of the City of Palos Heights, along with the City Council, do hereby ask all the residents of the City of Palos Heights to observe Friday, November 11th, 2022, and we commemorate and honor those who have served our country and give gratitude to the members of our armed services in this country. Under my witness, Bob Strauss. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day, but again, make that reaffirmation to the veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Strauss. Couldn't have said it any better. It was always called World War I. You have to have a 2 in order to qualify as a 1. It was called the Great War and the war to end all wars. The Great War ended in a French railroad car, a cessation of hostilities, or armistice. And 6 hours later, the guns fell silent. Intentionally, that occurred on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. A haunting poem by a Canadian in Flanders Fields mentions poppies growing between the dead, row on row, hence the remembrance poppy that we see this time of year, like Mayor Strauss talked of. In our country, this has become Veterans Day. To understand a military veteran, you must know we left home as teenagers or in our early 20s for an unknown adventure. We loved our country enough to defend it and protect it with our own lives. We said goodbye to friends and family and everything we knew. We learned the basics, and then we scattered to the wind to the far corners of the earth. We found new friends and family. We became brothers and sisters regardless of color, race, or creed. We had plenty of good times and plenty of bad times. We didn't get enough sleep. We picked up both good and bad habits. We worked hard and played harder. We didn't earn a great wage. We experienced the happiness of mail call and the sadness of missing important events. We didn't know when or even if we were ever going to see home again. We grew up fast, and yet somehow we never grew up at all. We fought for our freedom as well as the freedom of others. Some of us saw actual combat, and some of us didn't. Some of us saw the world, and some of us didn't see that either. Never left the shores. Some of us dealt with physical warfare. Most of us dealt with psychological warfare. We have seen and experienced and dealt with things that we can't fully describe or explain, as not all of our sacrifices were physical. We participated in the honored ceremonies and rituals with each other, strengthening our bonds and camaraderie. We counted on each other to get our job done and sometimes to survive it at all. We have dealt with victory and tragedy. We have celebrated and mourned. We lost a few along the way. When our adventure was over, some of us went back home, some of us started somewhere new, and some of us never came home at all. We have told amazing and hilarious stories of our exploits and adventures. We share an unspoken bond with each other that most people don't experience and few will understand. We speak highly of our own branch of service and poke fun at the other branches. Right, Marines? We know, however, that if needed, we will be there for our brothers and sisters and stand together as one in a heartbeat. Being a veteran is something that had to be earned, and it can never be taken away. It has no monetary value, but at the same time, it is a priceless gift. People see a veteran and they thank them for their service. When we see each other, we give that little upwards head nod or a slight smile, knowing that we have shared and experienced most things that most people have not. So from myself and the rest of the veterans out here, I commend and thank you for all that you have done and sacrificed for our country. Try to remember the good times and make peace with the bad times. Share your stories. But most importantly, stand tall and proud, for you have earned the right to be called a veteran. I was over at Independence this morning, and we were looking at their honor wall, and Mayor Strauss said, you don't know what some of these guys are going through. One of the students there, who was an Iraq vet, recently committed suicide. You got to remember, there's 22 a day that we're losing. The help is out there, but the organizations, for whatever reason, they're not joining them. They're dealing with these problems on their own. And so when you see someone, talk to them, reach out to them, ask them what their story is. You might think he's just a panhandler. You might have a sign that says homeless vet. Just talk to the man or the woman. They might really need your help. All right, just keep that in mind. And I'd like to thank you all for coming. I'll give it back to Scott.
So I'm going to ask Alderman Jeff Key to come up for taps.
Just wanted to say a couple words and do something ad lib here. Yesterday, the mayor at our breakfast read a poem, and it talked about veterans, not only the fact that they're putting their lives in danger for us, but the sacrifice they're away from their families. And so, you know, they're missing birthdays, they're missing marriages, they're missing funerals, they're missing all this other stuff because they're away serving us. And my father-in-law, we lost him about 4 years ago, and he was a proud Marine. And one of his favorite songs is Danny Boy. And if you don't know, Danny Boy is really a mom singing to her son who's going off to war. And the song really speaks of that sacrifice. Not only that, you know, she's praying for him to come home safe, but, you know, the people that are at home, you know, he's missing the relationship with them. And so before I play taps, I'm actually going to sing a little bit of Danny Boy in honor of my father-in-law and my dad and my son, too. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. 'Tis you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. And when you come and all the flowers are dying, and I am gone, and gone I may well be, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me. And I will hear though soft you tread above me, and oh, my dreams will softer, sweeter be, and you will kneel and tell me that you love me, and I will sleep in peace until you come to me.
Thank you, Jeff. That was incredible. Can I please have the color guard retire to colors? This concludes today's event. Thank you all for coming.